Here's Gilgeous-Alexander. McCollum staying with him. Spins, gets inside. Left-handed off the glass. Oh, what a sweet move.
Giddy, tough spot. Backdoor. What a pass. What a play. And J-Dub picks the pocket of Trae Young. He'll take it himself.
This is New Dart. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, and welcome to the Uncontested podcast, coming to you Monday, October 2nd, aka NBA Media Day. Gentlemen, we have arrived. It is basketball month, and the OKC Thunder held their media availability today. All players and coach talked to the media. Before we dive into all of that, welcome to the show. I am your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen. Got JD Silva with me.
Fellow.
We got Justin Peabody.
Hello, everybody.
We have Tayler Peterson.
That's credentialed Thunder media member Tayler Peterson to you.
Jeez, going straight to his head.
Kidding.
Taylor
I
and
needed
Nick
some sort of
were
intro.
at Media Day today, so we will dive into everything they saw, heard, witnessed. Before we do that, though, we are brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Make sure to sub to the YouTube channel, as all of our podcasts are live streamed. You can join us, get in on the chat. It's always a great time over there in the chat. The Degenerates already out in full force tonight. We appreciate them. I think at some point we need a Degenerates t-shirt.
Indeed. Love it.
It would be appropriate for sure.
Also, before we talk Media Day, we have to talk another event that is on the horizon, boys.
So exciting.
6 days from now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are hosting Fan Fest. It's an annual event they host leading up to the preseason, just to get the Oklahoma City Thunder community hyped about the upcoming season. Justin, even though you are way down in Dallas, you know some of the stuff going down at Fan Fest. Will you tell the people what they can expect if they come hang out Sunday night from 6:30 to 8:30?
So much stuff. There's a street ball skills challenge, one that I would personally love to see Jacob channel his inner professor. The Thunder
We might get some
Entertainers,
video of that.
the Thunder Entertainers are going to be there. The first 1,000 fans get a limited edition Thunder Shop Good hat. There's also going to be a taste of OKC Food Truck Row, an awesome court design by local artists, which I'm personally really stoked to see, and lots of fun stuff for little kids.
It's going to be
wrong.
Yeah,
And
it's going to be a blast.
Food trucks. A food truck, like
I
street.
said food trucks,
Yeah,
Taylor.
but you didn't see the street, Justin.
Oh, boy.
It's a lot of food trucks.
It is a lot of food trucks.
I'm excited to see what food trucks are out there. Might have to sample a little bit of everything.
Jacob and I will just start our way down. What all did you and Jacob do? Well, we just hit up all the food trucks.
I'll do
At that point, it was
I'll eat
over.
all the food trucks. Then I will do the street ball
That's smart.
skills challenge.
Recipe
Hey,
for
that
success.
sounds like a bet that Nick and Kamiar had preseason last year.
We'll get to bets in a minute because we need to catch up on some of these. If you want to register, you have to have a ticket to go, but tickets are completely free. Just go to okcthunder.com/fanfest. Real quick sign up. You'll get the tickets on your phone. You can use them to get into FanFest, enjoy all the festivities. It is, I think I said 6:30 to 8:30 earlier. It's 5:30 to 8:30. You got 3 full hours to go hang out, get in on all the excitement. And you're going to want to get fired up because 24 hours after FanFest, preseason game number 1, Thunder versus Spurs, Chet versus Wemby, SGA versus the world. It's going to be a blast. So make sure to get out to FanFest. If you are going to go, tweet at the Uncontested or hit us up on any other social media platform of your choice. Let us know so you can come by and say what's up to Taylor and I, as we will be out there hanging out for a few hours before the podcast Sunday night.
Love it.
It's going to be a great time. So again, okcthunder.com/fanfest. Get signed up, bring the whole family out, and let's get pumped up for season 16 of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Crazy.
Nuts.
It's old enough to drive, boys.
It hit
In
home today.
In 2 more years, the franchise can vote
Huh.
I bet they wish that was happening now for December 12th.
It's a good point. It hit home today when I saw Russ's media availability with the Clippers, and they said year 16.
Crazy.
Just like kind of re-emphasize this is the Thunder 16th season as well.
All right, before we get into media day, Tayler mentioned bets.
Oh boy.
JD, we're keeping you honest here.
Yes.
We're holding you accountable.
Yes.
When's the Poku photo coming?
Well,
Don't give us the same excuse.
Poor Silva has a couple of
with
these.
my friends.
I'm afraid it's gonna be. I'm afraid it's gonna be subpar. So I'm trying to like plan it ahead of time with a large group of friends, and get like costumes involved. It's just a lot. It's a lot. So I'm trying to make that happen. I hope. I don't know if time keeps passing. I might just have to.
You know what you should
shave
do?
my own head and set it at a kitchen table and.
You should play every role in the photo and then composite it together. So
That
the
could be
whole
fun.
table is just a bunch of Silvas.
Please do it.
That could be a great time.
That's what I would do.
Justin
I
can
am
probably help you
speaking-
with that.
That's what I would do.
I am speaking for the people here, Silva. I think you got like 2 weeks.
Oh, that's fine. That's
Dang.
fine.
We're giving you a 2-week window.
I'm hanging out with some jabronis for the
ultimatum.
OU Texas, so I can.
There you go.
Little halftime
Oh.
Make
entertainment.
it happen.
Yeah.
Halftime OU Texas.
Ooh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Justin, when are you running your 1K?
Buddy, the highs are dropping to the 80s next week, and I think that feels like a much better time to run a 1K.
I agree.
My only challenge is acquiring said outfit pieces.
There's a Goodwill somewhere in Texas.
That's what you told me last time. I have jorts. That's all I have from the list.
so
that
proud
you
of you.
gave
Boom.
me.
See, that's the most
Bold
important
to
part.
admit.
Just get an old
My wife
flannel.
has a jean
get off
jacket.
the sleeves.
I'm not sure she would want me to run in it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll
Anyway.
fit you.
That
like that.
That is also a barrier.
I like that we're every time we talk about Justin's bet, we're kind of getting like a weekly weather report at the same time.
Yes.
And next
Good point.
week,
The weather is
highs in the
finally
80s.
cooling down. We are
Lows
entering the
lows
cooler
in the
part.
high 50s. That feels like a nice crisp
I
run.
cannot
There you
wait.
go. I love it.
Well, if you need our
JD
assistant
is
to film or
also
anything, we can
J-
plan something out for Oklahoma City weekend.
There you
can
go.
run a 1K.
JD. Are you taking charges at a preseason game or a regular season game?
it's whatever fate
A
dictates.
deep sigh.
Whatever fate-
We got to get that one taken care of. Who has the J. Will jersey?
We
Nick.
gave it back to you,
think
Jacob.
I think it's Nick. I think he lets you keep it so that Silva could wear it.
correct.
I may have it. So Silva, we have the
Okay.
J. Will jersey and
Yes.
everything ready to go.
Nick gave it back to you
We
after Summer League.
God bless my soul. We better get a J. Will retweet on that. That would be so good.
I actually had a
So
couple
good.
opportunities. I could have mentioned it to him today. I should have.
Okay,
I definitely should have.
That's a weird flex.
Okay, I did. I'm thinking
should we
back
talk
to it,
about
that's
media
something
day?
he would
Yeah,
allow.
my homeboy Jay Will over here. We
Yeah.
were talking about best places to eat and what we're going to do on the weekend. And all right, transition time. Taylor, you were out at media day today with Nick. You guys got a lot of great content, tons of stuff up on the social media channel. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, go do that. Justin threw together an awesome little mashup video of just the day of covering the Thunder, which was also really, really cool. So go watch that. Shout out to Justin for his editing skills on just on the iPhone, I think. I don't know.
Don't give away my secrets.
Sorry. Taylor, we love you. We know you love to talk. So the floor is yours. Go
So
ahead
my
and
time
lay
to
it-
shine.
Should we give him a time limit? Or
We probably should. Taylor,
I'll
just
be
tell us,
just like today with my questions. I will be more precise and to the point.
tell us what kind of goes into media day. I mean, all we see is what you post on social media, which is like a couple videos and pictures of each guy as they're up at the podium. But walking into the arena, the other people that are there, other stations and things that are going on, just set the stage for people who don't know what the behind the scenes of media day looks like.
Yep. So I woke up around 6:45 this morning. I'm just
oh my gosh.
kidding.
What you have for
So
breakfast?
it was kind of fun. Like, Nick and I were coordinating about meeting up and stuff, walking in together. And the Thunder kind of gave a parking lots to park in. And we were kind of confused. Like, that kind of seems a weird place to park to go to media day for the Paycom Center, because it was close to the convention, the brand new convention center in OKC, which obviously is just basically right across the street from Paycom, a little further south. And so Nick calls me after he gets there, and I'm like, 10 minutes away or whatever. And about 10 minutes later, he calls. He's like, well, so the parking lot still stands, but it's not at Paycom. It's at the convention center. So I have no idea where I'm going. I was like, well, perfect. So sure enough, it's really easy. You basically could walk into any door. It kind of led you to kind of the front area of the convention center on the entry level floor, where you basically went in and checked in. And then right behind that is where you actually go onto the convention center floor. And that's where all of the videos, sights and sounds, things you kind of see, like the videos that we posted, as well as like all the stuff that the Thunder uses, not just for today at Media Day, like behind the scenes stuff, but also for the season. So for example, it was really cool kind of after the media availability part, we went back down there and kind of toured the floor, and I go down to the kind of the hype video, the introduction, when they do the starting five intro for on the broadcast for Valley. And you see like the big screen in the background, and Lou Dort or whoever the player is sitting there, and they like introduce him and stuff. And there's like smoke coming out from the back. Like, so there's these giant like smoke cannons. And I'm filming Lou as he's about to do this. And I didn't really realize what was about to happen. I just walked up on it after media availability. And all of a sudden, these super loud like smoke cannons come out from the background. Lou and I both like jump. Lou's sitting there like doing his best, like not to react to it. And then like they stop it because they can tell he's reacted. And he's like, yeah. And I posted that video on our account, but he just like puts his head down, like starts walking. And I think he was like, shit, like, like plugging his ears. Like it was loud. It made both of us jump. So that was kind of a funny moment.
You had a
there.
moment. You shared a moment.
You kind of start there. And then there's a bunch of different stations. So you'll go to the next station for the Thunder for some more video content. Another one, there's like a really cool like 360 view camera. That's kind of the camera that you guys saw that Nick and I posted about for when Chet and Lou and Giddy
that thing
all
was
were
awesome.
Yeah, really cool. Just kind of different angles and stuff. It'll be kind of fun heading into the upcoming season and like being able to point that out. Like, oh, that's what that camera was, being utilized for.
Taylor's the Leonardo DiCaprio gif sitting on his chair with his beard just pointing at the TV.
I was there. I remember that. And it was kind of fun too. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Chet who was up, and Lou's back there like giving commentary, like kind of giving him a hard time. And then Jay Will walks by and yells at him too, is giving him a hard time. Just a lot of camaraderie there and a lot of fun, lightheartedness. And then again, like there was just like you kept going down different news stations, had different stations set up, and basically the Thunder players will start kind of where I originally mentioned, down on that convention center floor, and just work their way around through all the stations, all the different interviews. But it was really cool kind of after the media availability, because like Jay Will, Giddy, Dort, J-Dub were all kind of finishing up their last couple of stations, and just very open. We're just kind of chatting it up and talking to different people, and very relaxed and just kind of in their own element. And it was kind of cool to see them in that environment compared to what we've seen them do in the past. So maybe that kind of gives a good overview just of the general like media day element. We didn't get to experience a ton of it just because we were up in the availability room. That was kind of something fun that I don't think I really realized heading into media day.
That's very cool. I have to ask Taylor, did you also get photographed in front of the video wall like Nick did?
I kind of thought about it. Okay, but a fun aside from this again, I asked Nick, like, what do I wear? He goes, oh, just wear whatever you would wear to work. I was like, okay, well, like it kind of depends on the day, but like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, I dress up a little more. And like Thursdays, I'll wear like jeans and either cowboy boots or like sneakers. So I was like, I'll probably lean towards what I would wear on a Tuesday, Wednesday. So I show up in like button down and like not really slacks. They're kind of like more of like I don't know, a little more casual kind of
Taylor
slacks,
shows
but
up
regardless,
in a 5-piece
and
suit.
dress shoes. And Nick shows up in like jeans and like a short sleeve button down and like sneakers like everybody else does. He was like, this is what I wear to work. So anyways, I felt kind of weird getting in front of that and taking a picture of me in like dress shoes and a button down. So I did not participate, but I did get a good video of Nick doing so, because he was like,
You did.
I did this 2 years ago and I haven't gotten an updated profile picture yet, because apparently
Amazing.
The Blue Wire ones we got in the Blue Wire studio in Vegas weren't cool enough for Nick. So
Classic.
But I think other than that, After that, we went up and to the media room. That was actually upstairs on the second floor of the convention center. It was kind of away from everything else, and just kind of got situated and stuff. I, not going to lie, it kind of took me a little bit to warm up. I was a little nervous to ask my first question. And then we got to Josh Giddey, who was fourth after Coach Daigneault.
You've already met Josh, so it was just normal for you.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys
I didn't even ask him.
Go way back.
Josh, yeah. So the question I obviously asked is, Josh, how has your life changed for the better since that faithful encounter at Summer League? But I didn't. However, I was like, okay, this is a really good opportunity. I like the question I have. Nobody's asked it, and it builds off some of the questions that others have asked as well. And so I call for the mic, and like they bring the mic over and stuff, and I'm waiting on, I think it was Barry Trammell or somebody like that who asked the question before. My heart was pounding a little bit. I can't lie. I kind of got a little nervous, but after that, it was pretty, it felt pretty natural. I think something Jacob and Nick and I talked about yesterday, it was like, we kind of had some notes and general ideas of what we wanted to ask for each player, so long as we want to be redundant to what others were asking. And it kind of is like podcasting. You see a bullet point on our podcast outline, and you kind of, put that in your own terms. You use it as a bullet point, a reminder, but you're not reading word for word, right? And you hope to get good content and engagement out of that. And I think Nick and I did a really good job of kind of tag teaming that, going back and forth with some of our questions with some of these players. And it was really kind of proud of some of the stuff we got. And I was really happy with the balance of questions I was able to ask. I think I asked 5 different questions to 5 different players, which didn't feel like too much. But at the same time, felt like just enough in comparison to some of the others. So all that being said, just a really cool experience. It also was cool to kind of interact with some of the other media members, some guys that I hadn't really gotten to meet in person. So that was kind of fun as well, and just kind of doing a little networking. So all in all, it's a really cool experience. And like I said, as we'll kind of dive into, I think we got some really good content.
We're talking about asking Josh a question. JD, I think we have that video queued up.
We do. Let me make sure the volume is good once we start it. We're here. And let's see.
Yeah, we can't hear that.
I can't hear anything. It's a good try, though.
It was a great try, I thought.
We'll try to get back to the Josh video after we get some of the audio taken care of. But yeah, just a lot of great content coming out of Media Day from our guys with the Uncontested, which really, really cool. We really appreciated the opportunity, the invitation to get out there and get some content. We're going to have more stuff up on YouTube, so be on the lookout for that. And if we can get the audio taken care of, we'll have a lot more quotes on this show tonight. I want to dive into some of the stuff that the players and Coach Daigneault had to say today. Before we do that, though, let's take our quick break of the night. And then on the other side, we'll dive into some of the big takeaways from Media Day. We'll be right back. And we are back. So let's dive into some of the big themes, talking points, maybe some specific players, a lot of different directions we can go. Tayler, since you were there, kind of had all of it, like you choose which topic or person or theme do you want to start with?
I just kind of think maybe the biggest overall theme, when just listening to some of the questions that were being asked by different media who were there, like it just seemed like they really wanted to try and get some, there's some external expectations, not necessarily being set, but like, again, the play-in last year, the Thunder make the play-in, they win their first game. We know, Chet's coming back. Again, that was a huge thing, which we'll get into. The team seems to just will obviously have improved internally as well, much less some of the additional players that they brought in. And so there was a lot of questions about setting tangible goals for this season and expectations for this season. And I think Daigneault really did a good job to kind of set the tone there when he came out and really kind of mirrored a lot of the things that Sam Presti talked about last week in his availability, just talking about not, still not rushing the process. And, one thing that Daigneault really mentioned, and I'm curious your guys' thoughts on this. I can pull up the exact quote while we talk about it, but setting standards rather than like tangible goals. He was asked about that specifically. And that kind of set the tone for the rest of the day. Like the players were obviously very excited, but at the same time, they weren't out here saying, yeah, we're going to make the playoffs. It's going to be awesome. Like, we feel great about where we're at, or, whatever the case may be. They're just confident in who they are. And most importantly, they're confident in the process. If they put the work in day by day, they know ultimately that's going to get them to where they want to be. And that was reiterated by a bunch of different players throughout media availability today.
I think that you nailed it. It's obvious expectations are there, both within the people asking the questions, like people like you and Nick and the rest of the media. Like, the expectations have changed for this team and what is expected of them. But that goes internal too. Like, I think you heard a shift in terms of what the objectives were compared to. It'd be really interesting to go back and look at like last year or 2 years ago media day and listen to some of the answers and compare it, because there's a definite tonal shift. But I think what you said is the most important thing. This team is not measuring its success by the outcome. And I think for a young team that's still on the rise, like, that's such a healthy place to be. And to me, demonstrates such a high level of buy-in from this group. They're buying into the principles. They're buying into the culture. They're buying into the process. They're buying into the day-to-day. And if you do that, the results are going to come, but the results are not the goal. The goal is to get better as a group. And you heard Presti talk about that. You heard Daignault talk about that. You heard a lot of the players talk about that. The goal is to get better. And if this team gets better, the results are going to come, but the results are not the goal.
And it was interesting too. Like, it wasn't just the guys who have been there. Like, obviously Kendrick Williams echoed a lot of that, and that's expected. Shea,
big buy-in guy,
etc. Yeah, right. Shea, Lou, etc. Guys who have been there, but it was Vasilije Micic or Micic. Trying to pronounce that correctly now that we have that.
Micic.
Yeah. It was Davis Bertans, echoed a lot of these things, like players who have just come into the organization this summer, Case and Wallace. And I just found that like extremely interesting and also powerful that these guys have been here, maybe off and on throughout the offseason all summer, but for the most part, just over the last couple of weeks. And not only are they echoing these sentiments, they're completely bought in, to your point, Justin.
Yep. I think it's fascinating how, I mean, we've always known the Thunder has put an emphasis on culture building, and it's fascinating, like you just said, with those young guys, how quickly it's already set in. If they can sustain that, like, I think it's easy. Think about yourself. You start a new job, you go to a new school, whatever it is. It's easy to fall in love at the beginning. Being able to do that months down the road, years down the road, after you face disappointments or hardships like that, that's where the rubber meets the road of that culture. And that's the groundwork they're laying. And I think you're going to see that come out. We've already seen a lot of that come out with this team through last year, through the play-in, through things like that. You're going to continue to see more and more of it.
I swore I had this quote saved, but apparently I don't. But I can kind of paraphrase. Essentially, somebody asked Daignault, this is kind of what kicked it all off. And I mentioned this, Justin, just because I feel bad. I know Jacob and Silva each are trying to get the audio to work from some of the clips today. But Daignault was asked specifically about their success last season. And there was actually two questions. One was really funny, and it was none other than Dean Blevins who asked it. The other one, though, and I apologize for not giving this reporter credit, but he asked about like setting those tangible goals this upcoming season after the great success of this last year. And that's when Daignault said, I don't really like to, again, I'm paraphrasing. He said, I don't really like to think of them as like tangible goals as much as standards. And that's kind of when he got into, the small things that you do each and every day. And if you do them the right way, I think he said we can put our head on the pillow at night and feel good about it, regardless of where we end up. But also you can like hope that, doing the same thing you did last year, you staying true to those standards is going to get you further along in terms of development, just progressional development, like in comparison to last year. So maybe that is making the playoffs this year, but it's going to be because we do the same things that we've done. We continue to be patient. And that again, that was just echoed throughout the entire day, really.
Were there any players in particular? We've talked a little bit about Daignault's comments, but any players that stood out? You mentioned Josh earlier. Was there anything else specific that comes to mind for him?
So just in general, like there were definitely some themes. We'll get into some of the themes I think that all players talked about. Yeah, Josh certainly had a great availability. I think Nick asked him about the NBL Rising Stars. I believe that's what they're calling it. I might be getting that mixed up with the NBA Rising Stars. But the NBL upcoming player program that they have going on. And he talked about how cool it is. Like, it used to just kind of be like American players coming over, using that as like a college year skip or whatever you want to call it. Right, using that for 1 year and then going over to the NBA. Now it's like, it's a real program, and the league as a whole is really developed. And he talked about kind of reaching out to some of those guys like Alex Sarr. I think Flowers, who plays for, I forget his first name, but he plays for the Adelaide Sixers, who is Josh's old team. And he talked about, being in contact with him because of that, and just kind of being able to be a role model in a sense for some of those guys. I thought that was a really interesting question. Trying to think what all Josh really talked about, because he had a lot of really good content. I mean, again, he was really excited about Chet. I was kind of wanting to hold off once Jacob and Silver are back in, because there was a lot of talk about Chet and about Cason Wallace. One thing that Josh really mentioned that stood out to us, and he almost brought it up. I think he was asked about directly, but he really elaborated on it. And again, Josh was one of the more insightful media availability. I mean, everyone was extremely well spoken and provided great answers. But Josh really provided some great context. That's his personality, right? And one of the things that he mentioned was getting to the free throw line more. I think somebody asked him about getting to the free throw line more, a little bit more in FIBA. And he said that that's a massive point of emphasis for him in the World Cup, because it's a massive point of emphasis for him heading into the season. And he talked about, getting all the way to the rim, putting pressure on the ring, as he likes to call it, and forcing the refs essentially to make the foul call. And he mentioned, utilizing his size and how in the past he's almost bailed out offenses by just going with a floater or a pull-up.
Right.
And that's something we really wanted, right, Justin, from Giddey. I wanted him to see him progress with. And I remember talking on this very podcast here a couple of years ago about this time, like the next step for Shea in his development is getting to the free throw line more. So it was really cool to not only see Josh do that in FIBA, but to hear him really reemphasize that here. What were your thoughts there, Justin, on his talks about that?
Before we get back to free throw stuff, we were talking about the Josh Giddey video earlier with Taylor's question about leadership. I think we have that queued up now. You guys want to go to that real quick?
Yes. Cross your fingers.
Your increased role, or maybe not increased role, but your prominent role for Team Australia and FIBA, leading those guys on and off the court. But one thing that your coaches really mentioned for Team Australia is your leadership role that you took on. What's it like being a younger player on that team and taking on such a leadership role? And how do you think you can implement that moving forward in your NBA career?
Yeah, it's different because you come to Australia and those guys, Paddy, Joe, they've been the leaders for the last 15 years, and they've been running the system that I haven't been a part of because I never played on that team, and I think it's not easy to come in and try and be a bigger voice than those two. As I said, they've been doing it for so long, and they're the leaders of the team, and they set the bar, and everyone meets that. But as a point guard, you have to have a voice, and it's your responsibility to make sure everybody out on the floor is on the same page. And as I said, I think I tried to do the best that I could, but it was just I think I fell short in that aspect of trying to get everybody to come together, get on the same page, and a lot of that's on me. As the point guard, you've got to take responsibility for that and ownership on that, and I do. And I think, as I said, Paris is so close, and I'm chomping to get back out there and represent my country again and do it right this time. I think we played hard, we did everything coaches asked, and we asked of each other, but just small details in a World Cup can really mess up the tournament, and we found that out the hard way, unfortunately. And I'm very excited to get back out there and take on a role in that team that could hopefully get us back up onto the podium. Last one.
So I don't know how your thoughts on that answer, Taylor, but just hearing it, it almost sounds to me like Josh wasn't pleased with his leadership and his how he went about FIBA. And I don't know, not to get deep and philosophical and stuff, but I think the team would reiterate this as well. You learn so much more about yourself when you feel like you've gone through struggle and failure than if they went out and just won a gold. Them not meddling and Josh feeling like, I had to take on a leadership role and I didn't do it right. And I didn't get our team where we needed to go. Like, that's where you learn lessons. And I don't know, just the style of answer and the tone that he had in that answer really makes me feel like he's very introspective about that FIBA experience. And that's really going to pay dividends for him moving forward.
I think you nailed that. And that was actually my impression as well, because I was surprised the direction he took that question. Like you said, Jacob, I kind of expected part of like maybe the first part of that question, and then kind of, maybe he would talk about implementing that here with this Thunder team and moving forward in his NBA career. But it was more so like, I feel like I didn't do a good enough job as a leader. There's a lot I feel like we left on the table, and I take responsibility for that if I'm going to be the leader. And I thought that was really insightful. Again, just shows Josh's extreme character. And obviously, I think that's something he didn't directly answer the part about implementing that with the Thunder and his NBA career. But I think that summer, that experience, to your point, Jacob, will pay dividends in his increased leadership role with this team this season.
I totally agree. I think for better or for worse, he learned a lot. And I think, you heard some rumblings about his leadership. Like I thought that was a great question to ask Tayler, of whether he feels like it was a success or not. Like, you heard some things about his role on that team. I think obviously he doesn't have to be the sole leader on this Thunder team, but I think there's definitely value to be gained from that. And I think you'll see it manifest itself on its court, whether that's, running a second unit, or whether that's, if Shea's having an off game and the Thunder need somebody to like step up and kind of shake people out of it. Like, those are opportunities. There's going to be plenty of them for Josh to step up.
I love it. And you guys are talking about the free throws as well. Like, we saw Josh focus on that in FIBA. We heard Sam Presti talk about that last week. Josh kind of mentioning it today. Like, that's going to be a real point of contention for them, I think, is and Tayler, apologies if you already mentioned this line, as I was trying to get our audio fixed there for the videos. But didn't he say something about, I sometimes forget about how big I am, and
same,
and I I let guys off the hook, and at 6'9", I need to not go to the mid range as much and punish guys at the rim.
Yep.
Is that roughly like the quote?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mentioned, like, he mentioned bailing out the offenses at times with floaters and pull-ups, not getting to the rim in the past. But you're right. He did actually directly allude to his size and how important that is. And I'm glad you brought that up, Jacob.
Dude, look at the video that the Thunder posted of the presumed starting five.
That was the
first thing that stood out. Like, Josh is so big. He's so big. He's not that much smaller.
Not
than
just
Chet.
tall. He's not tall and skinny. Like, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got size. It's exciting. And we did a quick aside. And we were all sitting there and we saw the Thunder tweet that out. Like, the Thunder are very careful with those kind of things. And I don't think it's coincidence that those five specifically were photographed together. Again, I wasn't down there like during the actual media availability part, but I don't know. I didn't see all the different combinations of players photographed together. I think that was one of the only ones. So also kind of exciting, in my opinion. I think that's pretty cool to see.
I'm trying to get that picture of them pulled up real quick.
Yeah,
let me see if I can get there.
Oh, there you go.
It's crazy. Like, Chet's enormous when you see him in a silo, but when you see him in that lineup of those five, I was like, good Lord, they're all gigantic.
Yeah, I was like, Shea looks short, and Shea is not short.
And Shea's not short.
Yeah, that video is absolutely not working.
And Lou
Sorry.
looks big, but he looks really short, and he's not short. Like, it was pretty crazy.
Well, I don't think I can get that picture up, but it looks. I think it was Jason Concepcion retweeted. They're all like holding their hands in front of them. It looks like they're lining up to block a free kick, which is just really funny content. Before we go to our next break, I think one of the biggest topics and talking points today, not just talking to this guy, but talking to other guys about this guy, was Chet Holmgren. Guys, 365 days ago, the expectation was we were going to be seeing Chet at media day ahead of his rookie year. And that got robbed from him. He grinded out the rehab. And we've made it to the other side. And Tayler, from talking to Chet, and like it seems like every other person that came to that podium got asked about Chet. We've got some video of a Chet interview, but before we get there, Tayler, will you just kind of tell us what all was said about Chet? What's the overall vibe from his teammates, his coach, and from Chet himself just about going into this season?
I mean, talking to Chet or listening to Chet, like I think it's very obvious he's, again, just fits the Thunder culture to a T. Extremely well thought out and articulate in his answers, provided great context. Like, again, that's a common theme amongst many of these guys. But one thing that I really loved that he said that kind of stood out to me, like in relation to the question you asked, Jacob, about his injury, like he talked about last season using that season to be around the team and, having to quote unquote miss out on his actual rookie season. Obviously he's still considered a rookie, but not getting to play last year. He talked about like turning that curse into a blessing and how he was really proud of himself on how he did that. Just being around the team, being able to encourage guys on the sideline, and then put the work in when he was able to off the court as well. And in terms of the weight room, things of that nature, I thought that was really cool. He talked about being able to perform with or be able to participate in the Team USA Select training camp and how that was really important for him after not getting to play last year and missing out on last summer, just trying to gear up for the season. Also talked about where I think Rylan Stiles asked him about training with KD, which was kind of cool. And he said, like a lot of our conversations are about basketball and me just picking his brain. He said, it's all love from KD. He's so open to sharing those things with me, which I appreciate. He said, but he'll tell me to like, hey, say hi to some of the old staffers for me. And Chet, I thought this was kind of cool. Yeah, poor Silva.
Duty calls.
Yeah, that's right. We put him on these spots. He is doing some last minute audio adjustments. One thing was kind of cool.
Fix the audio.
Got our best guy on it. Chet mentioned.
That's why we pay Silva the big bucks.
I'm gonna take another sip now.
As you should. Chet mentioned having some Thunder staffers out with them, which is kind of cool. Thunder staffers do that. He didn't allude to who that was, obviously, but just said Thunder staffers and how they met up with KD. That was kind of cool. They got to catch up with KD. But that was kind of all the stuff that came from Chet that stood out for me from Chet specifically. But almost every single player was asked about Chet. And some of those quotes like Shea, we are excited to have Chet back. He's a big competitor. At the end of the day, I think he just wants to win. Chet brings so many unique things to the game. Like that was kind of echoed by so many different players. Kenrich Williams, Cason Wallace, like had a really good quote about like, well, I hope my defender never gets there because that means I'm doing my job. But if he does, it's great to have Chet back there protecting the rim. One that stood out to me was Kenrich Williams. He said, if I can find it, maybe I can't, but essentially he said, like in my 4 years with the Thunder, I'm not sure we've ever had such a great shot blocker, rim protector as Chet Holmgren. And to have a player like that back there defending the rim. Yeah, right. Yeah, fair. And to have a player like that, it just brings so much confidence for us. And Kenrich is a great perimeter defender. To know that somebody's back there covering us. So a lot of that, a lot about the defense, a lot about the offense. That was echoed by almost every single player today.
That's awesome. JD, I think we have a question from Nick talking to Chet about defending not at the rim, but smaller guys in space. Gave a pretty good answer. Can we cue that one up real quick?
What are you thinking about? How are you approaching it? What are your tactics to make sure you can defend a smaller, quicker player?
Yeah, that's there's a lot in that. It depends on who you're playing, what other players are on the court, on our team as well as the other team. Really having an understanding of what that player wants to do and trying to take that away. We play in the NBA and, every night it's more great players that you're playing against and, great players make plays. If there was somebody who could get a stop on every single possession, they'd be worth more than the max, but that's not possible. So it's really not letting dudes get to their bread and butter, what they want to do, and kind of steering them towards what you want them to take, and try and take away everything. But at the end of the day, it's about stacking up plays throughout the course of a game to help your team win. And the tougher you make it on the opponent, the more chance you have to win. So,
guys, I don't know your thoughts on that quote. For me, that's just straight up like watching a ton of film. Living in the film room. And when he said, quote, stacking up plays over the course of a game in order to give your team a better chance to win, all I heard in my head was Mark Daignault.
Yep.
And Sam Presti.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That buy-in that we were talking about earlier, that was it on full display. Chet doesn't have to be the hero. Chet doesn't have to stop every single play, because when you start adopting that mindset, then you're pressing, then you're trying too hard, then you're trying to be, I forget the analogy that Presti used in his press conference, but like you're trying to turn it up to 11, I think it was, right? Like you're trying to do too much. And what Chet's talking about is you don't have to do that. If anyone could do that, they'd be worth more than the max. That's not realistic. It's about the little things coming together, the collection of everybody making smart plays.
Yeah, it's a guy who's had a hell of a long time just to think about how exactly he can fit into this team with the least amount of resistance and a way that benefits the team the most. He's had so much time to think about that, and it sounds like he's had a ton of good people in his ear describing how to do that in a way that's not going to be totally disruptive or like too forceful. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I wonder if we will have discussions about. Well, I wish Chet would do more outside of his role, because it seems like he's thought so long about this and how to fit this role.
That's interesting. He's definitely a guy that wants to fit in and wants to be a cog in the machine and not dominate the machine. Two things from that just kind of jump out to me. First, just the recognition that there's really good players in this league, and you're not going to take away everything. But you try to make them go to their second move or their third move. Or, if they love shooting corner threes, you try to get them out of the corner and make them shoot above the break threes or mid-range. If they love getting downhill to the rim, you stay in front of them, try to make them jump shoot, right? Just that awareness that I can't take away everything, but we want to try to take away their bread and butter. I love that. And another thing, and I think it was reiterated, Tayler, today by a handful of guys, and I don't think Mark will ever let this team do this. But sometimes I think of like teams that Rudy Gobert has been on. There's this idea of, oh, if my guy blows by me, it don't matter. Rudy's back there, right? I have this security blanket. I have this safety net, this insurance policy behind me, so I can play a step out of place, or I can overextend here. You can't just rely on that safety net being there all the time. The safety net being there while you're still intentionally trying to stay on the tightrope. Those two things working together make a good defense. Just because the safety net's down there doesn't mean you can try to do cartwheels over the tightrope. You still got to try to walk across the goddamn tightrope. And the mindset, I think other players had quotes along that line. You mentioned Kaysen earlier.
That was my favorite.
I don't want guys to get behind me and get the Chet. I think Lou said something about, now I know if somebody does get past me, it doesn't matter because Chet's back there.
That was, the Kaysen and Lou comparisons are obvious, right? We've talked about them. And again, they're both different players. I don't mean to directly compare them. And in terms of their defense and perimeter defense, how they're built, etc. It was kind of funny hearing both of their answers there. Kaysen saying that coming in as a rookie, like all gung-ho, like ready to go, like nobody's getting by me to Chet anyways, it doesn't matter. And Lou's like, Lou, the established vet who's known for like guarding LeBron James and Kawhi and Dame and shutting them down. It's like, yeah, like it happens. And it's good to know that Chet's going to be back there. I thought that was kind of funny. The experience.
Just
there.
A perspective thing. Yeah.
Right.
Can you imagine being an opposing backcourt player though? You're just getting absolutely clamped by Lou Dort. Finally, one
And Kaysen
possession.
Wallace.
Yeah, and Kaysen. You
Lou
finally
mentioned that
get
too.
past him. You're like, oh, I finally got a move on Lou. I'm to the rim. And the ball's now in the 5th row.
Revolving door.
Does the cover your eyes and watch it go as he just
Chet's
swats
out
it into oblivion and
covering the corner. I totally have an open shot here.
And then you get two-handed stuffed.
Swallowed.
Justin, JD, before we go to break, wrapping up on Chet here. Just everything you've heard today, everything that Tayler kind of mentioned on what other people have said. Just how are you feeling about going into this season with Chet? Where's your excitement level at? And just big picture thoughts on adding him to the team. I know that's a massive, massive question. So try to keep it concise. But this is our first time we're really getting commentary from these guys because he's about to be on the court with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with Lou Dort, with Isaiah Joe. It's about to happen. So just from today, what have you taken away and what are you looking forward to?
On our copium to hopium scale, I'm around level 3, cautiously optimistic for Chet. Only because I don't want to be hurt personally. I was at level 4 max hopium last year, and I was just injuries happen, and I was hurt on a deep level, and now I am extremely excited, and I am, but I'm trying to calm down, just let it happen. Don't overthink it.
I think what you can
more
tell
Dallas Cowboys and Chiefs. I like it.
What you can tell from listening to these guys talk, listening to Chet, listening to his teammates, they are as anxious as we are, as the fans are. Everyone is chomping at the bit to see Chet on the floor in an actual NBA game, suiting up for this Thunder team. You can hear it in the way some of the other players are talking. You can hear it in the way Chet's talking. I'm sure this has been a challenging year from a physical standpoint, yes, but from a mental standpoint for Chet. That he's ready to get back out there. I think he's ready to have it over with to an extent. I'm sure the weight of that first regular season performance is going to be heavy. And I think getting that out of the way so that he can just go hoop again is going to be huge. I think the same for everybody on this team. Just getting him back out there and letting him be one of the guys on this team, that they're all ready for it. They've been working with him in practice. They know what it looks like. They're ready to put it on tape against some other teams.
I like that. I like that a lot, Justin. I know we need to move on, but just quickly, I think about the preseason. Somebody mentioned that, and actually, something to talk about with Shai. He talked about this with FIBA games, but when he was talking about the FIBA games, he mentioned it being almost like studying before a test. He loved being able to play those high caliber games in the off season, going straight into the regular season. To your point, Justin, I think maybe some of that pressure could be relieved with some of the preseason games for Chet. Chet versus Wemby is in the preseason. That's awesome. We don't have to worry about that. Or the team doesn't have to I don't want to say worry, but you get that out of the way and it doesn't have to be the first game of the regular season. So hopefully preseason can kind of get some of those things out of the way. And again, like you said, Chet can just go out game 1 and just kind of play his game.
Love it. Let's take a break. On the other side, we will burn through some of the other guys who talked today, hit a few more key points, go around the association real quick, because there's been some interesting stuff at Media Day today. And then we'll wrap this thing up. We'll be right back. And we are back. Let's start this last segment with the video of Kenrich Williams. Tayler, I believe, is this you talking to Kenrich, or is this Nick?
That was Nick. And Nick got a good question response from Kenrich, so I thought that was kind of cool. But this was Nick.
All right, let's go to it.
Creating as much for yourself and you've got better passers around you or finding your spots. Is there anything specific that sticks out over the last 3 years that's changed from first season here to now in terms of who's around you and how you get your buckets?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's a good question, man. It definitely changes on who you're playing with. So you're playing with a guy like Shai, who's, all NBA, great talent. You kind of got to figure out a way to play off him. Within my first year, it was kind of everybody was a new team. None of the older guys were playing. Kind of get freedom to shoot whatever. But but now it's a little different now. So just kind of try to be efficient with my shots, the shots that I take, and just playing off these guys.
I love that. I think another theme from today, especially from Daignault, was this idea of efficiency. There's a lot of mouths to feed. There's a lot of guys that are going to get time. You can't go out there and shoot 15 times in 20 minutes and make 4 of them, right? Like, they are looking to play the most efficient basketball possible. I think a lot of times, a lot of basketball social media gets obsessed with like this guy's bag is so deep, he can score on anybody, double crossover behind the back, semi-spin, back into the offhand spin move, step back jumpers. Like, those are really, really, really difficult shots that typically don't go in. And this team is just trying to simplify basketball and play efficient and get easy shots. And I think that's exactly what Kenrich is alluding to. And like Nick kind of mentioned, with all the playmakers on this team, that is the ultimate goal, is to get the easiest shot on the court. And I think whenever you have a team that's bought into that mindset, they hunt for those things. And so I'm excited to see how the offense kind of plays out, kind of like Kenrich is talking about here.
I think it shows a maturity too in his game, but also this team, right? We've talked about kind of the evolution of where they've been versus where they are. I think some of what he talks about is the evolution of the expectations, right? He can't just go out there and do whatever. The team has changed. They've evolved. They're not who they were. They have Shea, who's an all NBA caliber talent that they didn't have 3, 4, 5 years ago. Things look very different now. And I think that, again, that bleeds all the way through. And I think his answer of, I want to be efficient with my shots for the sake of my teammates, that shows a very high level of IQ and maturity in how he's approaching his game. Also, his beard looks magnificent.
Yes.
Oh, and
that was kind of a common theme. Nick even like elbowed me, like J-Rob, JRE was up at the podium. Like,
so
Nick elbows me. He's like, it's a full beard now. Like,
Silva put together a like notes of media day document for us. And my favorite note, literally laughed out loud under JRE. It says, the Godsmack goatee is gone.
Hey, we are in beard mode. It looks so nice too.
There's something with beards and headbands with this team.
Oh
now.
My gosh. Yeah. Rylan Stiles asked everybody about the headbands, and it's a thing. It's a thing.
Team, all team headband.
What's funny is I didn't even think about anyone else seeing that when I wrote that down earlier today. I just
these are just the thoughts that go through Sola's head. That's even better.
Let's quick run through a few more guys. I feel like we have to talk about Vasilije Micic. It is confirmed. Last name is pronounced Micic. Goes by Vasa, or as Kenrich Williams would tell you, Vava.
That might have been the funniest part of the whole entire media day, where
Silva and I said we're going to call him the Vavaduke.
Unbelievable.
So Kenrich says
some interesting quotes from Vasa today, though. Vasa is actually like a really dope name. Like, I'm excited to just be able to call him Vasa. About coming over to the NBA and what made that decision happen this summer. Tayler, we're starting to run out of time, so you got like 60 seconds. Give us the Vasa. I don't know, just the rundown of him coming to play for the Thunder this summer versus last summer, 2 summers ago, next summer, negotiating with Philly, all that kind of stuff. Just overall big picture Vasa stuff.
So probably should have expected this, given he's a 2-time EuroLeague MVP and obviously has been in front of the media before, but he was fantastic. Like, he shows up, somebody asked him the first question. He goes, well, first of all, good to see you all, or like something along those lines. Like, just a total seasoned vet, gave some great insights. Obviously, English is his second language. You would never know it. I mean, just, again, another extremely articulate guy, and really enjoyed listening to him. But you're right. It was fascinating, Jacob. He said last summer, was the year that he really had the first serious conversations with the Thunder. But he felt he still had some things left he wanted to prove in EuroLeague, and that's why he didn't come over. And so this year, he reiterated what Presti said last week about just kind of being the right timing on both sides. I forget exactly the quote he used. But one thing that was really interesting is he said if it were a year later, he doesn't think he would have come over. As he mentioned a couple different times, he's 29 years old, which is older on this
so
team.
freaking old.
I mean, yeah, I'll be 29 and gosh,
Go to
a couple
hell,
of months. And yeah, I was just laughing the whole time when he said that. But he said, if I had waited another year, I probably wouldn't have come back over. And he just talked about how like working towards the NBA has always been a dream, and he accomplished what he wanted to in EuroLeague. And so, it's really cool to be able to come over to the NBA. But it was really cool. Like, we talked a lot about like Micic coming over this offseason. Like, was he promised playing time? What was it?
Right.
He said, no, I'm very happy to accept everything that comes to me. I've already spoken about that with coach. And he said he told the organization this summer when they were working on bringing him over and signing a deal. He said, quote, I don't need any promise, and that he's going to earn his role. And imagine a 2-time EuroLeague MVP coming over, buying in, and like Dignall said, basically willing to just kind of reset and go on this new journey at 29 years old. Just again, like a Thunder player through and through is kind of what it seemed like. So those were the things that really stood out. Also, he said that Kenrich's Vava nickname, he laughed really hard when he heard it. And he said, that is literally the first time I've ever heard that nickname. So we'll see if it sticks.
I thought hearing from Micic was some of the most insightful stuff we got all day. I think there's been so much speculation about where his headspace was. What was he expecting? What type of situation was he coming into? That to hear him actually speak on it was really cool. And I think peeled back the curtain a little bit as far as like why he came over. Like really it's just to prove something to himself. It's to see what he's got against the best in the world, no matter what Noah Lyles says. And I think that's a really compelling storyline. And I think for me, Jacob, you weigh in, like it makes it really easy to root for the guy when you hear him laid on the table like that and kind of what he wants to set out to do.
Definitely. And for the record, I'm the one that never thought he would come over.
Correct.
And it's JD who's the non-believer. So I think this is more a question for JD.
Touche.
All aboard the Vava train.
Well, okay.
I'm here for the Vavaduke.
No, that's actually not. Look, he does seem like a really nice guy. It's more that I don't understand what his role will be and how he fits among everything else. But that's also partly on me. I haven't watched a ton of Micic, and I don't exactly know. We're going to find out very soon. So
I mean,
I'm going into it with an open mind.
To your point, Silva, that was exactly the answer. I mean, not exactly, but very similar to the answer that Dignall gave when he was asked about, Vasa. Almost said Vava. Shut up, Kenrich. That's going to stick with me. When he was asked about Chet, when he was asked about different rotations and all these different players and how do you play them, like he kept going back to like, look, we have a 3-week training camp coming up, and we're going to have a lot more insight after these 3 weeks. So, I mean, that's kind of the mindset that the Thunder have as well, Silva.
I think Dignall was big on we got 3 weeks of training camp. We know
that was
reiterated
a lot.
There's two types of people: those who know nothing and those who know they know nothing. And apparently,
yes.
Dignall falls in the latter, not the former.
Part of the reason why
busting out the Aristotle quotes. You gotta love it.
So
that was fantastic.
That was insane. I was gonna say part of the reason why I haven't been able to get on board the Micic train and fully understand his role is because of the addition of Cason Wallace, who I think we also talked to today. Who asked him the question? Was it you or Nick?
Nick and I both had one. Nick kind of had a fun one because Cason's from Richardson, Texas, where Nick recently moved. So he asked him a serious question and then followed up with, where are some fun food spots I should hit up? So that was kind of fun between him and Cason. And the one you're about to play is something I asked Cason about. Jacob and I were kind of brainstorming last night, and we were just thinking about the more limited game in college And, there's a lot of players, especially in the Kentucky guard mold, that come out into the NBA and show so much more than what we saw in college. So we didn't want to ask that directly, but essentially what I asked Kaysen was, what were you not able to showcase in college due to the more limited nature of the game that you'll think you'll be able to implement in the NBA? And this is his answer.
Isaiah, it's kind of crazy to think about, but a year ago, you weren't even on the team.
That's
yet.
Isaiah Joe.
This is Isaiah Joe.
They look alike in your defense. I did the same thing when I was looking
From
at
a
the small
thumbnail.
image.
They both got braids.
I have that one also. One moment.
That was also
You're good.
A lot of braids, a lot of cornrows, and everybody was very excited about that. Like,
While we get
Wiggins mentioned
Kaysen queued up, I just want to mention that Ousmane Dieng put on a little bit of weight, but mentioned that he's maybe grown another inch, 6'11". Ousmane Dieng.
That was Nick's question, and
insane.
And Nick asked him
and he's still only 20.
Yeah,
he could grow some more.
Absurd. So Nick was kind of like asking, he's like, look, like obviously you've grown, you've been growing. It looks like you've grown a lot. People are talking about it. How do you feel you've grown to your body? And Noose was like, I think I've like grown another inch or so, maybe. We were like, oh, that's not what we were asking, but awesome.
Yeah, before we get to Kaysen, real quick, I have let me get to it. Give me 2 seconds. I have the training camp roster with heights and weights here. We've got one Ousmane Dieng technically listed at 6'10", 217.
It's a big boy.
Not bad. And hey, Alexei Pokusevsky nursing that ankle, 220.
He mentioned, he was like, yeah, ankle's feeling good, coming along quick, but
I'm pulling a Tayler and playing audio through my phone just because this is the most applicable time I can ever get this video on this podcast. Oh, hold on. What? Okay, here we go. It's still not playing. I am definitely pulling a Tayler right now. Never mind. We're at
unbelievable.
It's the video where he says, "Damn, that boy thick." He's talking about the dog.
We didn't even need the video.
Yeah,
you can just do
that was perfect.
You had it. That was even better than the video.
I'm so upset the audio on this video is not working.
Hey, Poku did say, like, Poku was another really.
Oh, there it is. We
there
got it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Damn, boy. Damn, boy, he's thick. Boy, that's a thick ass boy.
Alexei Poku, 220.
Yeah.
He came in the league like 195.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And that picture that we tweeted today, I mean, he's put on some mass.
He looked like a normally proportionate human being for the first time.
Which is wild to say about 7'2", 7'3".
Right.
Footer.
And
exactly.
Real quick, Presti, last week, not asked about a Poku extension. Poku today, not asked about a Poku extension. Extension window closes at the end of this month. And if he doesn't get extended, he's headed towards restricted free agency. And there's a very strong common theme with the Thunder and guys going to restricted free agency, meaning it doesn't happen. If they don't get extended, they typically get traded. Just real quick, rapid fire. Does Poku get an extension by the end of the month, JD?
No.
Justin?
Yes.
Taylor?
I say no.
I say yes. We're 50-50.
Yes. Moreover,
I think this could be more of a, I don't know, not so much the norm as he doesn't get the extension this month, but he could still end up staying with the team.
Taylor, as a soft media member, would you like to comment on your lack of pointed questioning?
Yeah, I was trying not to completely get us kicked out of being able to ever show up ever again. I was kind of hoping that, the hard hitters from Oklahoma would ask that one. But I will say, though, Poku was really impressed. I was really impressed with some of his answers. And again, we're going down a complete new aside here. I know we're getting late in the podcast because there's so much to talk about. But Poku had such, just in a nutshell, basically, he had such a great insight into the injuries he's battled, how that wasn't going to set him back, how he viewed it as opportunity to build character. And to your point, Jacob, sorry, I think I kind of interrupted you there a couple of times, only because I wanted to say that Poku mentioned with this ankle injury, he's been in the gym, or been lifting weights, and like it shows.
Living off creatine.
Love to see it.
Also, Poku, you live in Oklahoma City. You can't have the city catching strays, my guy.
Yeah,
Someone said, you're gonna
was
show
rough.
Vasa around. He said, not much to show him. Come on, my guy.
And then like the thing he missed most about home was food, and it was kind of funny. Like he was being like kind of funny about it. And,
someone needs to take Poku to Empire Slice.
Yes, that's right. He kept saying during the like during the question, food.
Poku.
It was really funny. And then
would
he
you
said
like
that
to go to Bobo's with us?
His mom is in town.
Do you know the YouTube content we could get taking Poku to Bobo's?
That would be
oh
phenomenal.
my god!
Poku,
I'm gonna have
an
to hit up
open
Thunder
invite
PR
from the
tomorrow.
Uncontested Thunder PR. You're welcome to tag along. That's right.
Last
but
thing
his
on
family's
Poku,
in town cooking.
Yeah,
and he was very excited about it.
Yeah, last thing on Poku, he had mentioned before the ankle injury, most of the guys were in town, and they were running 5-on-5 with Poku and Chet sharing the court together on the same team, which is, hey, inflatable arm tube, man, the thin towers.
Yeah, buddy.
If we get that lineup, Justin, I swear to God, I'm going to be speaking in tongues. And we're going to sell 1 million T-shirts. Let's move on to Kaysen real quick before we get out of here. JD, I think we have that video queued up now.
Let's see.
You got the right guy with braids?
What aspects of your game were you not really able to showcase maybe in college that you're looking forward to implementing in your career in the NBA?
I would say that I'll be able to show that I can create my own shot better. Not saying that the coaches or anything limit me to what I can do on the court, but like you said, the spacing might be a little off in college, but in the NBA you have a little more room to work with. So I feel like I'm able to show that I can create my own shot better at this level.
I'm really excited for Kaysen. I just think the defensive tenacity. Tayler Shea said, was it Shea or was it Kenrich or both? Said like he's ready to play right away.
So Shea, that was the other theme throughout that I really wanted to mention. Chet was asked about a lot. Kaysen was asked about a lot, but also was brought up a lot by players. I found that really interesting. Like, those are probably the two most common names from non-Kaysen Chet players, non-Kaysen Chet interviews that just were mentioned by other players. And to your point, yes, Shea mentioned that. I actually have that quote. Here it is. Really good basketball player, knows the game on both ends of the floor, specializes defense, obviously. He'll be a guy that's ready to play right away. But then the really fun one was Kenrich Williams. And again, Kenrich is great with the media. Like, that was a really fun availability as well. But Kenrich said, after calling his shot with J-Dub last year, saying that J-Dub would eventually be an all-star or was going to be an all-star talent. And he kind of followed up on that and said he confirmed, go ahead and buy your stock in Kaysen Wallace right now. So he doubled down on, the J-Dub talk and said, so I was right last time. He kind of made like a funny joke about that. And, but Kaysen Wallace, like, buy your stock right now. That's the next guy you guys need to be watching. So he was right about J-Dub this time last year. He's doubling down on Kaysen Wallace this year.
I love it. Any other Thunder Media Day thoughts before we do like a 5-minute around the association, just because there's some stuff we have to talk about?
I don't think so. The only other thing was like Jack White. I was honestly kind of surprised. Like, he came in. I mean, he was great with the media. Josh Giddey told us that we were going to love him, and we did. He again, another very well thought out answers and did a really good job. It was interesting though. He talked about Nick actually asked him a question we came up with last night about what he took from his time with the Nuggets, an NBA Finals, an NBA championship team. How he can, what he took from that, how he can implement that further in his career, and talked a little bit about that. He talked about his negotiations with the Thunder this offseason. Provided some really good insight. But I'm just going to be honest, like, not a player who's expecting to get cut heading into this NBA, training camp. Sorry, I almost said media day. So just something to keep an eye on. Like, he's very confident. He talked a lot about being like I think he used J-Will specifically, but it reminded me like Kenrich Williams making the extra winning play. All that being said, great with the media, which I really enjoyed, but also just a player to keep an eye on. He's confident in what he brings to the table, and I'm really curious to kind of see how this training camp plays out. Other than that, I think we did a good job of covering it all.
I have to add one thing on Jack White. Did you guys see this stuff OKC Thunder posted on, I think, Insta, where it was like the first day of school looking photos of the players, and it was like, where are you from, and your favorite food, and favorite TV show, and favorite musician. So like,
did Jack White say Jack White?
No, but I wish.
That would be. He did get asked about that. It was funny, but
half the team, by the way, said Drake. At least half the team.
Half the team's from Canada.
Yeah,
Jack
that's
White
true.
Says, Dave, do we think this is Lil Dicky Dave or Dave Matthews Dave? What kind of Jack White are we working with here? Or a third Dave?
I'm almost wondering a third.
I'm going third unknown Dave, like his
Just a random
homeboy back at university who plays like his acoustic guitar, Dave.
Yeah, I'll go with the secret third option also.
Wow, bunch of cowards.
I'm gonna have to go on
I hope it's
Spotify
Lil
and
Dicky
see
though,
what
because
we,
that'd be
come up
That
incredible.
would be funny.
Hey, Shay said his favorite TV show,
Game of Thrones.
My man.
Okay, Dave is an
My man.
artist. Let's see if this will load here.
Thank you for that, Taylor. Discovered that. And that's the insight we're looking for.
He is, yeah, sorry, that was a not well-informed thought. Popped up on Spotify immediately, though, right under Dave Matthews Band. So I think this is probably what we're going for, but Spotify does not want to work. So anyways.
A Smoot says Dave is a rapper from England. There you go.
There it is.
Option C it is.
I love it.
Shows what I know.
Speaking of music, Jimmy Butler. Ball Out Boy?
Ball Out Boy was so good.
Backboard Confessional? Jimmy Heat World?
24 Seconds to Mars. Tonight will be the night. I can't do it.
Somebody, I wish we had Dan on because Dan's like my Blink 182 buddy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody tweeted and said, Jimmy, after Dame went to Milwaukee, where are you?
Dude, I love it so much. But there will 100% be a Woj tweet at some point before next media day talking about Adam Silver implementing new like media day protocol for all players because Jimmy Butler
This is 2 years in a row that
is
Jimmy's trolled
wreaking
everybody.
havoc on every broadcast from here on out.
He had that interview with, was it ESPN or Worldwide WAP tweeted out, and he's like talking about his emo phase,
NBA TV,
and like midway through, it's like what was it? Bucks tampered. Just amazing.
Some hot mic.
Oh my
So
gosh, there it is.
good.
Someone pulled it up.
Dude, somebody tweeted the picture of Andre 3000 in the Hey Yeah video.
Yes.
Oh my God, I lost my mind.
That's so good.
It's really good.
I love it so much.
Jimmy aside, other NBA-wide media day things that were interesting.
I don't know if you're wanting to pivot to serious topics, but I saw a TikTok that it said, this is what it feels like to play my career on 2K. And it was Austin Reeves walking into the set between LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Okay. I saw the picture. Like,
that's
Austin
funny.
Reeves is
It's so
between
good.
AD and LeBron. They were like the
Yes.
Lakers big three. And
Yeah.
as a Sooners fan, I love Austin so much, but man, I just like
How did we get here?
one of
That's-
these things does not belong.
Yeah.
Well, for staying on the unserious side, gotta shout out my man Steve-O.
Yes.
Quote of the
Gosh.
day. Quote
Hilarious.
of the day.
you brought a lot.
Can we get that? The audio is out there, isn't it? I think I
Oh, boy.
retweeted it. Let's get a
You're
post
really
real
push-
quick.
pushing the
guys a video.
limits of
He
our
is
multimedia broadcast tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we won't do it. But somebody
poor Silva on
mentioned
the
to
spot.
Steve-O, because he's not a good free throw shooter. Somebody said there's this Korean player, whatever his name is, who banks in his free throws. Is that something you've considered? Steve-O said, I've done that before, not intentionally. Then he said, you said he's Korean? And he said, yeah. North or south?
Here it
It was
is.
just
If you guys want it.
silence. Just silence.
Incredible.
Do you guys want me to play it or no?
Well, let's just move on because we're already at an hour 15.
The video was fantastic, though. I died.
No Harden in Philly. Didn't show up.
No.
Apparently he's out at parties having people hold up signs that say Daryl Morey's a liar.
Very on brand.
I think best vibes of the day probably goes to the Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
They finally got an optimistic quote from Giannis.
Yeah.
Some bad ones
Dame out there, just talking it up.
Okay, Dame, the throwing shots at the Blazers. He's going up for the picture with him, Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. Man, I've never had a picture like this before. It's like, oof.
Tough. And true.
Man.
Hurt.
Yeah.
I love Devin Booker taking his pics and Chuck Taylor's.
That was awesome.
That's awesome.
An elite moment.
I think worst vibes of the day probably go to the Raptors.
Yeah, which is weird. I mean, their season ended.
Some of the quotes Masai had were just wow.
Like already
Why would
talking
you
about
do
selfish
that?
players. Like that's a lot of selfish talk.
Scotty
Right,
even
selfish
mentioning
GM.
it. Yeah, the GM basically said, why hasn't there been extension talks with Siakam? And he said, see the way he played last year? He's selfish. Maybe whenever they play better, we'll talk extension. I was just like,
Wow.
man, you're airing out the laundry to everyone on media day. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Like that stuff you keep in house, man.
Right. Wild.
So not the best vibes up in Toronto. I wouldn't be surprised if we get, we've said this for years now, but this is like the last trade deadline they have to move those guys before you're just letting them walk. And if I'm Pascal Siakam, why do I want to stay after what just happened today?
Correct.
It seems like there's some
Which
hardest
is
feelings.
probably why that was said from Masai. I would think. I think he probably has a good feeling on where Siakam stands with the Raptors, which probably is the real answer as to why an extension has not been given. But that's just speculation.
You'd think they'd trade him then. But what do I know? Silva, I think it's time.
Time to play the rest of the answers that we have queued up. Let's go.
Good grief.
Part two.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Thunder basketball. I think today marks we're back, boys. We are back. We'll be here Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central Time. Make sure to join the live stream. We'll have all sorts of intel and quotes from training camp. Sunday, make it out to FanFest. Go to okcthunder.com/FanFest to get your tickets. 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. outside the Paycom Center. It's going to be a blast. We will be potting after that, 9 p.m. Central Time, right here on YouTube as always. And then a week from tonight, you're going to want to tune in because we will be talking about a basketball game that has occurred between the Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. Our first look at Chet Holmgren with the OKC Thunder. Can't wait. We'll be back Wednesday, you guys. Have a great beginning of the week. We'll talk to you soon. Until then, as always, Thunder up.